if you want to do it, that's okay. So here on the services, I can look for VPC right here, or I can come down here and look for network on the networking and content delivery VPC, or I can make it a favorite. It will show here. Okay, this favorite will be available until you clean the history of your computer. If you clean the history, sometimes you clean the history, clean the cookie and all that, this will disappear, right? This works with the cookies of the computer, right? Now, so four different ways to find it. Make it a favorite, under recently visited, under networking and content delivery, or by typing in the search bar, right? Then you can find VPC. Now, once you are there, you can scroll down here and look for security groups, right? And click on there. As you can see, I have a bunch of security groups here that I've created in my account. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new one. So create a security group. This is a firewall, okay? And I'm gonna call it, this is only and especially for my database. So I can say RDS security group, right? RDS security group. So this allows access to my database via port 3306, right? Which is MySQL and Aurora, right? So now this is the VPC because it has to be the network where I'm using my database. It doesn't have any inbound rules, and by default, all the traffic that comes in will go out to the internet. So that's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and add an inbound rule. So the inbound rule, I'm gonna do the same thing that we did before, guys. So I'm gonna say MySQL Aurora, and you see the port 3306. And now I'm gonna say my IP. Okay, perfect. Then I say security group to allow access into my RDS instance. Okay, perfect.
Question.
This is optional, so you don't have to type it if you don't want. Right? Yes.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why you chose MySQL/Aurora over, like, because I think I saw MySQL in the drop-down menu, like just that. Oh no,
I
never
don't,
mind. That was an M.
I don't think there's another MySQL here.
Never
This is
mind.
this
Never
is
mind. Yeah,
my
I thought that was
this is Microsoft SQL.
right. Never mind. Never mind. I thought that was
Yeah,
my. All
that's
right.
the one that we're using. If I choose that one, most likely it's going to be port 1433. Let me see if I'm correct. You see, that's a different engine. That will be Microsoft SQL Server. That's another engine, right?
Gotcha.
You try to do that will be this one, right? Which
Oh,
is not free at all. When you click on this, there's no free tier. You see, there's no free
mhm.
tier. And right off the bat, it's gonna cost you $34. Right? So that one is not free. Okay. So I'm gonna
Gotcha.
choose the security group is free, but the engine, the database is not free.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Um,
now
whenever you,
now now
whenever
that I
you're
have,
free, it's still doing the same thing on my computer.
sorry.
Whenever you're free, it's still doing the same thing it was doing before, even though I deleted it and recreated, tried to recreate it, not even let me recreate it or connect it.
Okay. So now go ahead and create a security group, and I have it there. Okay. My RDS security group has been added to my group of security groups. If I click here, the security group, I can look for this guy. Um, where is it? Right here. So I can give it a tag here, say RDS security group, right? Just to differentiate it from the other ones. It shows the name here. You see? So I can move this to the right, and I can see here that my RDS security group is right here, right? Perfect. right? So now when I create my database, right, I can come here and select MySQL and scroll down and do everything that we did before, the identifier, my database, right? Admin, password, and then scroll down, everything is fine. Connectivity, this is the VPC that I'm using. Perfect. The subnet group is fine. It's publicly accessible. I'm going to use a security group that I created. So I look for the one that I created, RDS. I can type here RDS. And I think that I have to refresh the page because I didn't refresh the page. As I created a new security group, I have to refresh the page and I will be able to see it. So now when I choose MySQL and I do the same thing again, right? My database as the identifier, right? Admin pass. If you create something and is in the middle of the process of something else, you will have to refresh the page. Otherwise, it will not pick up the changes. All right. So now that I have here, go back here and publicly accessible. That's fine. Choose a new one. I delete the default one and I said RDS. And there you go. It's right here. Right. So I'm going to choose this guy. Right. And no preference for the availability zone. I can choose here 1A, B, C, D. Let me choose 1A. And if I don't choose any, I say no preference, AWS will select it for me. Okay. As you can see here, this is the port that is using. That's fine. And additional configuration, I'm going to give it my name for the database, MyDB. And everything is fine. Perfect.
So what's the benefit of the security group we created now?
That's the firewall. That's what protects your database. If you don't allow traffic into it, which is by default, no one can access your database. It's protected, right? So you only want to allow the traffic you want. That's why we say my IP. So only I, from my computer, if I use another computer, I can't. Or if I use another network, I can't. Or if I use another IP, I can't. So only me with my IP.
So creating a security group that's allowing specific traffic to your, okay.
Correct.
Okay,
correct. Okay. That is the firewall of your instances, either RDS or EC2. So the security groups are the layer of protection at the level instance, right? They work at the instance level, right? They don't work at the subnet level. Subnet level, you need a NACL or something like that. But for now, we're working NACL. You have to look for the network XCL. So this is what protects the network, right? There's one by default that is associated with 6 subnets, right? You can create your own NACLs if you want, but that's not the purpose for now. So this is creating my so if you take a look at this, I can see that my security group is RDS security group, as you can see here, right? So if I click on it, it will take you to my security group. And as you can see here, the inbound rule is port 3306, my IP, and this is the description. Perfect. So this is the best practice. I don't like to use default security groups, but it works if you change the rule. If you don't change the rule, it doesn't work because by default, traffic is not allowed into the database, right? So now that we have this, let us wait for that database to be created. I'm going to go ahead and make my database a favorite because I'm going to be using it many times. I'm going to make RDS my favorite. I'm going to make DynamoDB my favorite because I'm going to use it in AWS, right? I'm going to make EFS favorite. So if you could do it, if you guys want to do it, you can do it. So here under all services in storage and database, I can choose these two. I can choose Lambda because that's a function. We're going to see it. Elastic Beanstalk, we're going to use it for sure. That's platform as a service.
Just click on it to get the star beside.
No, click next to it. There's a star. If you click on it, it will take you to the service. But if you hover over it, there's a star here. So click on the star. What else? So we're gonna using IAM, which is under security and identity and compliance. So I click on IAM here, make it a favorite. We're gonna be using all these guys because we're gonna do something in developing. So we're gonna use code commit on the developer tools. Code commit, we're gonna use code build, code deploy, code pipeline. And we may see something in Cloud 9, which is an IDE, an integrated development environment, just like Visual Studio, like VS, similar, but it belongs to AWS, right? What else can we see here? We're gonna see a bunch of services, but I'm gonna just for now select the ones that trusted advisor for sure. This is the cloud expert, the one that gives you recommendations about what you have to do. What else? What else? We're gonna see this guy. This is for automation. It's not in the scope of the class, but guys, you're gonna work with it for sure. We're gonna see config, CloudTrail, CloudFormation for sure. We're gonna see CloudWatch. We're gonna see AWS organizations. What else?
What about Amazon Document Database?
We see Glacier as well. Okay. What? Say that again?
Amazon Document Database.
No, we're not going to see that. No. The only NoSQL database that we're going to see is DynamoDB. This is a NoSQL database. We're not going to see this guy. Okay. We're not going to see the Tomb, which is a graph database. Elasticache, we would mention it so many times, but we're not going to see it. We're not going to do anything with it. We're going to mention Amazon Redshift, but now we're not going to do anything with it. We're going to mention EMR, but we're not going to do anything with it. There are many services that are not for this certification or any other certification that is in the in this associate levels. This is more for data analytics for a specialty, right? But we're gonna mention all of them. Okay, you have a list that, oh, for sure, systems manager. We're gonna see this guy, systems manager. And what else? If I go up, this is for machine learning. Now we're not gonna see anything much. I have done things with Amazon Poly, which is the one that you use to create an Alexa skill. Amplify, we might do something with Amplify. Anything here? Step function, we're gonna mention them, but we're not gonna do anything with it. For sure, we're gonna do something with SNS. We did it yesterday when we created the topic, right? And we're gonna do something with SQS for sure, right? SQS is the oldest service in AWS. It was created in 2004, right? This is the oldest service. And after that, S3 in 2006, right? We're gonna mention simple workflow, but we're not gonna do anything with it. Cost Explorer, for sure. We already worked with budgets yesterday. Athena, we may mention it, but we're not gonna do anything with it. Athena is an interactive query service, right? To query S3 buckets. right? S3 buckets and bring a view as a table. Okay. We're gonna mention quick sight, which is a visual, like a visual service. Like you can have graphs, you can visualize your data with quick sight. Okay. Amazon Glue, this is for ETL. That's for extract, transform, and load. And Utah know what I'm talking about. So this is the service Utah. I don't know if you took a look at it.
Well, I've not yet seen about it.
Yeah, and of course, Route 53. We're gonna work with Route 53. We're gonna work with CloudFront for sure. We're gonna do something with API Gateway, right? This is for developers, right? We're gonna do something with API Gateway. We may do something with CodeStar as well. So as you can see, we're gonna have a bunch of services that we're gonna look at that, and many services are not included in the cloud partitioner. They are included, they may include it as reference, like talk about it, but going in and work with them, no. That's something else, right? That's something else, but we're gonna see it for sure, right? So my database, you already, by now, it should be created, right?
Professor, before you navigate away from this, I do have a question, and I always try to link what we are learning to the job market, especially with AWS. So if you are interested in a position or work with AWS in the security, for instance, we need to master all the services that are listed in here.
Yeah, no, the security.
I'm just giving an example. Security, identity, and compliance. So we need to master all of the above.
Well, not to master. You become a master once you have a job or you work more specifically with that. But you should have a basic, solid understanding on that, right?
Okay. So, for instance, the networking and content delivery, we need to have a good understanding from VPC to global accelerator, right?
Not this one, but you should know how to use VPCs, how to create a network, a subnet, how to create a route table, how to associate a route table with the subnet, how to make make a subnet public, how to make a subnet private, how to associate an Ethernet gateway with the public subnet, how to associate a NAT gateway with a private subnet, how to be able to deploy services in a subnet, things like that. So you should become familiar with that. You should know how to create a distribution so that you can make your delivery global. You should know how to use the routing policies so that you can work with your users and give them the lowest latency possible, right? So have an idea. So all of that we're gonna see in class. So you're gonna have a pretty good understanding of all these guys because we're gonna work with them as well, right? Or at least you're gonna watch me do it because to work well with this guy, you should have a domain with AWS, and I purchased it for my classes so that you can see how to associate a domain with different with Route 53. And as well, I have a VPN. A VPN is very useful to give demonstrations with Route 53 because Route 53 is a global service. It doesn't work at the zone service or at the region service on region area only. It works at the global level. So it works in the entire world. And so does CloudFront. These two guys are global, right? And we can understand local services like zonal, regional, and global, okay? So I'm gonna be switching from country to country, right? So that you can see how Route 53 works, right? Remember, when I use a VPN, I'm gonna be giving an IP address, right? So if I connect to Brazil, it's gonna give me an IP address in Brazil, and Route 53 will connect me with the server that is closest to me. Because I'm going to create I may create a server in Sao Paulo, a server in Paris, a server in the United States, and a server in Tokyo, for example. And I connect to, let's say, Canada, right? And if I use an elastic load balancer and I try to connect, I refresh the page, the elastic load balancer will send me with Route 53. They will send me to the United States server. So to reduce the latency, they send me to the closest server. Remember, my company has several servers in different countries. I mean, my company has several servers in different countries, right? And then when a user from Argentina tries to access my web server, what Route 53 does, it will route my user to a server that is closest to them, right? To reduce the latency. And that is called the latency routing policy that Route 53 has, right? And that demonstration requires a VPN, right? So that you guys can see how it works, right? So there's things that probably you cannot do unless you have a VPN, right? And you will have to watch me how I do it, but other things you can do, right? We're gonna work with, for sure, containers, and I believe that you guys know what containers are. If you don't know, we're gonna talk about it in AWS. We're gonna talk with containers, and we're gonna use Elastic Container Registry, which is a service to store container or Docker images. And we can create containers with images, just like we could create virtual machines with images, right? So for now, no more about AWS. We're gonna get there. It's gonna be beautiful, right? But for now, let's continue with RDS. So I'm gonna click on RDS. My database should be available already. So let us wait for that. Well, let me tell you something. It's available already. So you see here. Let me tell you something. There are different ways to access my database. One is creating a database, or I can click here. Database. This is 1 out of 40. So I can click here, and it will take me straight to there, right? Now I'm going to connect to the Beaver, right? Lara, were you able to connect?
Yeah, I'm connected now.
Yeah, good. I didn't see that you didn't complain anymore, so I assumed that you were able to do it.
Yeah, I figured it out.
Good. Okay. So, was everybody able to connect? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. It's good to know that. Okay. You see, when everything is set up correctly, is the most seamless process to connect with the viewer, right? Right. Perfect. So you guys already have the PowerPoint, right? And let us begin our journey, right? With databases, right? Which I believe is a beautiful one, right? Okay, so I can go